Good evening everyone, hope you guys are doing well. So today we're going to be reviewing Ayaka's C6 constellation. It is my personal favorite constellation after C1. In case you don't know what it does, it increases her normal charge attack damage by 300%, and then after that critical damage is then multiplicative over this, which just allows for insane damage. This buff is cleared after 0.5 seconds, and the reason is because Ayaka's charge attacks, each one of them does like within 100 milliseconds you get the slash, so you get 3 slashes, that's 300 milliseconds, so that's why this little condition is being applied. What I really love about this, and we'll just do a bit of a video review here with Masanori, so this is a very scripted fight. Just visually you can see on her right arm there is the effect telling you that her C6 buff is active. It's absolutely beautiful. You've got the petal effect coming out here, and you've got the very shiny little glowing effect, and I like anything that looks shiny, so that immediately grabs me. It's very nice, it's aesthetically beautiful, and I think it's the only constellation that does that. So you might ask yourself, does this do anything in battle apart from just boosting damage? And yes, it does. So let's just skip forward. Right, we're just going to dodge him, and right here. So I'll just play this at normal speed. There we go. I hope you saw it. So what happens at normal speed is the moment this charge attack connects, there you can see all the petals are scattering. They're quite beautiful. There we go. There's a charge attack. We have a petal. So again, a very nice visual effect. You don't get this visual effect without the buff, and you don't get this at any other constellation level with Ayaka. So it really is quite nice. And then the critical hit damage sort of shows up here. We can see here we've got 2 critical hits, but if we do a bit of quick maths, you can see here right there on screen the total amount of damage that we can do is about 52k. Normally if your enemy is frozen and you're running the Blizzard Strayer set, you will be almost guaranteed this critical hit damage, which is really nice. So the other thing that I want to review is the audible cue that you get when her buff is applied. So let's just skip a bit forward. I think it's right at about, yeah, this point. So I'm just going to keep quiet. Hopefully you can hear the audible little bell whistle, and that'll tell you that her C6 is active. I hope you listened quite carefully over there. As you can see, it's now active, and it's just a very nice little ting that you hear, and that means you can now attack with her C6, which is really quite awesome. So with the visual and everything else reviewed, let's now see how we can actually make the best or the most of a C6. So one of the interesting things about Ayaka and why she's such a wonderful and technical character is that all her talents, even her passive talents, affect her normal gameplay, or it affects her C6, it affects her other constellations. So as we can see here, Ayaka, whenever she uses her E ability or elemental skill, she increases her normal and charge attack damage by 30%. So let's just see in the video how this happens. I'm just going to keep it quiet here. There we go, and there we go. We got 18, 3, 2, 1. So if we do another bit of quick maths over here, 18, 3, 2, 1 multiplied by 3, then we can see we've actually got a fairly decent damage increase. Now it's just important to remember the 30% is applied to your base charge attack, then you apply the 300% from the C6, and then that is amplified by the critical hit rate or the critical damage. So what you're seeing is critical damage being amplified, and if we just do a quick little division here, there should be about 5%, yeah, 5.6% damage increase that we get. The question is now, can we do better? And of course we can. The most optimal way to play Ayaka is when we're using her C6, is when her Q or her burst is active. So I'm just going to skip forward, and there we go. We've got our Q active, and what you'll see now is I'm going to apply her E, I'm going to dash cancel out, we're going to try and pop the Q, and what happens now is Ayaka's C4 constellation will kick in. It will reduce the enemy's defense by 30% every single time one of these little wind blades hit. from her elemental burst. Just for reference, she's got about 20 of these wind blades hitting, so the buff is applied over and over and over every time it hits. So decreasing enemy defense by 30% does not mean your attacks increase by 30%. There's a mathematical formula, so I'm not going to go into that, but essentially you're looking at about 18% increase in attack. But you'll be quite surprised to see what happens in this case. So let's just play the clip. We dash out, we do our Q, and now we're going to do a charge attack, and there we go. Hopefully you can ignore the 21k there. What you should be looking at is this 22k, so it's 22,472. We had 3 of them, which means we scored a perfect triple crit. And again, doing some quick maths. Yeah, we get a pretty insane number, a 67, and dividing this now by our base damage, you can see we have an almost, this is just by coincidence, but we almost have a 30% increase in damage, and this 30% is a combination of using our E ability and the 18 or the 30% defense drop that we're going to give the enemy. So essentially what happens is we're boosting our normal attacks. There's a multiplier that kicks in, and then of course with the critical hit damage we are boosting our attacks to quite an insane level. For reference, I think if you've got a C6 Ganyu, this will be an equivalent of one of her charge attacks, a C6 R5 Ganyu with fully maxed level talents. So quite impressive if you just play your combinations quite correctly. Remember, Ayaka's power lies in her Q ability, but what her constellations effectively do is they even out her kit by making her E and her charge attacks quite relevant. So you get this effect of sustained high DPS, and the way you want to play Ayaka is you generally want to have your E on cooldown and then have your C6 ready, and vice versa, and the moment your Q is up you wait for all your cooldowns to align, and just like I've shown in the video, you then just unleash all of them, and then you can do max damage. So her C6, apart from a lot of people called it lackluster, I think Kaching main sort of said you don't notice it, but I think when you really do the maths and you do the optimal playstyle, it really does shred through enemies. And the other thing is her charge attacks also connect in an area, so if you've got a lot of enemies grouped up, especially like in a spiral abyss, you can potentially deal this damage to each one of them individually, which is also quite nice. So yeah guys, that is my review and sort of guides to Ayaka C6. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please look again at the thumbnail of this video. It's got quite a cool little picture that I saved. I think you'll like it. But yeah,